Welcome back YouTube. Today I have a review video on Viktor and Rolf's Spicebomb. Okay, so I'm going to get straight into this. I don't want my videos to go too long, although I'd like to pack in as much detail as I can. I purchased a bottle of Viktor and Rolf's Spicebomb, which is one of their popular male fragrances. In fact, I couldn't name another male fragrance that they've released apart from Antidote, which I believe has been discontinued. But I purchased this early on in my collecting of fragrances, so this is one of the first ones I bought. In fact, I'm going to admit that before I knew as much as I do about fragrances, not that I know a lot, I was kind of influenced by a sales assistant in a department store that this was great and I should buy it. And admittedly, when I tried it, I really liked it. You need to remember that at the time, my nose hadn't experienced as many fragrances as it has now, and certainly my tastes have changed. Although I'll get on with the review and you'll see what my feelings are about this. So, just a bit of background. Spicebomb was released back in 2012. It was created by Viktor and Rolf to be the male equivalent of their very popular feminine, which is called Flower Bomb. And obviously they went for Spicebomb because spices are so much more manly than flowers. So Spicebomb was released in 2012. It was the perfumier behind this was Olivier Polge, who is notable for creating the original Dior Homme EDT. Now, I also want to state, for the purposes of this particular review, I am testing a 2015 bottle. Okay, so I've checked the batch code. It's a 2015 bottle. I think that's important to note because I understand that this has already been reformulated, or at the very least people have experienced early versions of this bottle that have significantly different performance to the one I've experienced with this bottle. So 2015 batch. Now I'll run the notes for this fragrance up on the screen so you can see them. So what I'll do is describe the opening and the progression through the mids and down to the dry down. What I mainly get in the opening of this is citrus notes, and probably mostly bergamot more than the listed grapefruit that I'm getting here. So there is what happens with this fragrance, and the only way I can describe it is its development for this bottle is kind of like in fast forward. It really progresses from opening to mid to base, all within the matter of like literally probably 10 minutes. So mainly bergamot in the opening, and then within a minute the cinnamon really takes over, and this has been, described as a bit of a cinnamon bomb. So cinnamon takes over, but not long after that it's joined by saffron, which is one of the other mid notes, and not so much the paprika that's listed. I think I pick up quite a little bit of the paprika in the background. It sort of gives it that zest in the background, but it's certainly dominated by cinnamon and saffron. And then I think what happens is that the cinnamon actually lends a bit of sweetness to this fragrance, and overall this fragrance is pretty sweet. It's not as sweet as some gourmands, but there is a sweetness to this fragrance. If you don't like sweet, I don't know if you're going to like Spicebomb too much, because unlike its name, I think it probably is more on the sweet side than the spicy side with this particular one. Now when the saffron comes in, as I was smelling this today and testing it, when the saffron came in, it did remind me of another fragrance I have, and I decided to spray that fragrance just to see if it was kind of in my head or not. And when I sprayed it, it was a little bit different. Now, the fragrance it reminded me of, and it was mainly because of the saffron note and a little bit of the tobacco that's in Spicebomb, is Versace Man. Now, when I compared them between hands, I could pick up the similarities, except Versace Man is probably a less sweet version and has a bit more cardamom in this one. I personally prefer Versace Man, it's one of my favorite, but there are elements of Spicebomb that did remind me of Versace Man. Now, as I said, it does like really transition through the stages quickly, this particular bottle of Spicebomb. And then what you do end up with is basically a very balanced combination of tobacco and leather. The cinnamon stays there, so I think the cinnamon is a thing that kind of rides out the whole development of this fragrance, and essentially just sits on top of the leather and tobacco combination. And the tobacco is on a little bit on the sweet side as well. So I know that was a very quick description of the development of Spicebomb, but that's literally how I've experienced it. And like I said, when I first got this, I liked it. I thought it was a unique scent. I hadn't smelt much like it before, but as I've experienced other fragrances, I've realized that this kind of leaves a lot to be desired. Well, my particular bottle at least. I'll talk about quickly what kind of performance I get on my skin for this 2015 bottle of Spicebomb. 4 hours, and that's with probably at least 5 sprays, 3 on my chest, a couple on the side of my neck, and that's pretty disappointing for a fragrance that's supposed to be geared towards cooler weather, has some of those heavy masculine notes in it. It really just seems watered down, and compared to what I can only imagine that the first version of Spicebomb just couldn't have been as weak as this one is, because it has become a popular fragrance. It is a nice smell, and I'll go through my ratings for that, but for me 4 hours doesn't really cut it. I can only I can't recommend this based on the performance, but what I will say is if you're going to try this and you do like it and you're willing to put up with the performance that it has, and that's based on any bottles that are available now, the same formulation. So what kind of situations does this suit? I would say definitely it's a cooler weather scent, and probably quite easy to wear on cool spring days and evenings. I think it'd be too much in hot weather. Because it has poor longevity and based on my skin, I'd say it's probably a good thing to wear on evenings going out. I wouldn't describe it as a formal fragrance, it's reasonably casual. The other thing is it can be regarded as a younger type scent. Like I've worn it and enjoyed it when I've been able to smell it, but it's definitely not something I'm going to replace when my bottle's done. In fact, I'll probably end up giving it to my son when he starts wearing some fragrances. In terms of a rating for the smell itself, I don't mind the smell itself. It's actually quite a nice smell if you like your fragrances on the sweet side. But the performance kills this for me, and if for anyone who wants me to give it an out of 10, I wouldn't give it any more than a 6. So that's Viktor and Rolf's Spicebomb. I really appreciate you watching. And I hope this is the type of review that people want to see when I'm talking about fragrances, and I've given you all the details that necessary. Now, you always have to keep in mind, you know, whatever formulation I have and what it's done on my skin. So I haven't, you know, done any field testing on other people to see how it performs on them. If you do a bit of reading on this online, there are people who swear that it's got fantastic performance, but also people that say it has been reformulated. So if you're checking this out in store, you're probably looking at a newer bottle. Maybe spray it on yourself, test it, see how it performs. It might work on your skin, but this review is based on my bottle, on my skin, and that's really all I can tell you. So thank you for watching. I look forward to putting out a few more videos in the near future. I've got a bit of time on my hands, so I'm going to be churning them out. So Viktor and Rolf Spicebomb, thank you.